I regret leaving my wife for my girlfriend. I don't know if I have the right to ask her to take me back. My wife and I separated a year and a half ago. Before that we were together for 15 years. We have 2 young teen daughters together. The last 2 years of our marriage I thought that we have achieved all that we could achieve. Nothing changed and we knew each other by heart. The years were hard on me mentally being stuck at home 24/7. When I went back to the office after 2 years, I thought my change of humor to the positive was because I wasn't with her, instead of the fact that I could actually get out again. I met Anna, she was one of the new people that we hired. Anna is free and happy. Social and high-spirited. She took the office by storm. She was the opposite of my shy and calm wife. I remember when I first met my wife. I was the one who asked her out, and first 2 years into our relationship she confessed to me that she had liked me for at least a year before I asked her out. With Anna, she was honest and verbal about how she had a crush on me. Like an open book. She proposed to me. I told her that I was married and she said that we only lived once and that she just wanted to tell me how she felt no matter if I reciprocated or not. I felt strongly for her. I confessed to my wife that I was out of love with her. She asked me if there was someone else and I said yes. That was enough for her not to try to dissuade me. I know that she was hurt and suffering in secret and I never tried to console her because I didn't want her to know that I knew how much she was hurting. Her pride has always been her dearest possession. I moved out a week later, into Anna's. I thought that I was going to be over the moon now, but something that was missing even when I felt happy. I thought it was me missing my children and my home. I used to be with my daughters every day and now I see them only half the time. I thought it was my daughters crying and not speaking to me that hurt me. I thought it was the disappointment in their eyes that disturbed my sleep at night. My wife was my rock even in separation. She made sure that the girls didn't refuse to see me. She kept my image whole and always spoke to them about how I loved them and how good a father I was. I knew she was hurting and I could see her missing me, but she never once lost her dignity. It was around Christmas when it hit me how much I really lost. Anna had surprised me with a trip to a warm destination because I was feeling down that this would be the first time I wouldn't celebrate with my daughters who chose their mother. Anna always understood that my blueness was because I missed my girls all the time and she tried everything to cheer me up. The night before we took our trip I dropped by my wife to leave my daughter's presents. My wife opened the door and she just looked so serene. I lost my balance on an ice patch and fell, and she just said oops and ran towards me to help with the gifts. I caught a whiff of her smell and that was when it all hit me. I did miss my children and my home and my stability, but most of all I just missed my wife. I missed her warmth, her voice, her calmness, her wit and most of all her smell when I buried my face in her hair and neck on Saturdays when we could sleep in. I knew that I never really stopped loving her. She wasn't the reason I went through a dark period, she was the only light that pushed me forward. I have always missed her. I have tried to explain it away because I have this new brilliant girlfriend who is so different and who is teaching me how to be excited again. Every time my wife's face is the first thing I think of when I wake up in the morning and look at the person next to me. And every time Anna kisses me I close my eyes to try and imagine my wife's smell. My wife was putting up the Christmas tree and I asked her if I could stay for a beer and she said yes. I started crying in our kitchen. When she asked I told her that I was missing the girls and how strange it was not to celebrate with them. She comforted me and told me that everything will be okay and to have a nice trip. Change is never easy even if we want it. For the last year, picking the children up or dropping them off has been what I look forward to just to see my wife's face. I have noticed how she has become happier and more in terms with the changes and I envy her. I wish I could just tell her how I feel but I don't want to disturb her healing when she's come so far. I love her like I never loved her before but I don't deserve a moment more of her life after what I did.
My husband is leaving me over a stupid joke. Turns out he's been living a life of lies. My husband, 30, and I, 27, have a great relationship. He's the love of my life and we've always had the best communication. This afternoon, we came home after a little lunch outing with our newly engaged friends Kai and Marie. It went great but it was like just another outing, nothing special, though we got some bomb pasta back home which I'm currently shoveling into my gob since it's too chilly for ice cream. We live in a super tiny apartment and so he showered first while I got the leftovers into the fridge and stuff. I went in after him, finished my shower, and put some lotion on my palm. I accidentally squeezed too much and dabbed some of it away. After I rubbed it on my face I still had some of the leftover on my finger and I did exactly what any perfectly sane person would do. On my thumb, I whipped up a little smiley face and some spiky hair to create Lotion Man. I came out of the bathroom, giggling about it, and said something along the lines of, "Hey, look, Lotion Man to the rescue." He didn't really react, he just looked at my hand and blinked at me. I honestly was just goofing around and started making a silly voice and saying some random crap sprinkled with some inside jokes. I was blabbing for about a minute before he just got up and left. I was of course completely oblivious as he grabbed some of his crap and I was just smiling and asking where he was going in kind of a playful way. He has a huge truck and we just returned from a trip so he has enough stuff to last him weeks, so it didn't really dawn on me that he was leaving until he drove away. I honestly feel like Boo Boo the fool for making such a stupid joke and then letting him leave just like that. I texted him a few times and he's just said that he's thinking about things and that he's at his brother Tyler's place. I've been texting him nonstop but he hasn't been responding or even reading any of it. He also sleeps really early so I doubt I can get in contact with him anytime soon. His brother isn't responsive either so I'm just leaving my phone on the nightstand and holding my breath. I don't think it's really dawned on me yet. I stared blankly at the door for like 10 minutes before I got off my butt and actually tried contacting him. I've been with this man for years and I'm always cracking cheesy jokes. I feel stupid in my crap for making up Lotion Man and continuing after no response instead of just shutting up and accepting that I'm unfunny. At the same time, I'm just confused. He's never been at this point even in our rougher patches. The worst we've done is just take breaks from intimacy or just talk to one another a little less. I'm all for giving him space, but I can't say I'm not hurt he's just leaving. And the process of divorce is just so stupid. I don't even want to think about this anymore. Was making Lotion Man as big of a mistake as I think it was? Any advice on getting him back home? What's your low-cost glow-up trick everyone needs to know? I walked runways with Adriana Lima and Naomi Campbell back in the day, and although I've long disappeared from the industry, my teenage daughter has always been a bit insecure about her looks. She looks like a normal girl with a regular body, but in my eyes she is the most beautiful girl in the world. However, she looks up to me a lot and it breaks my heart when she compares herself to my model days. She keeps asking me about glow-up hacks because she desperately wants to look the way I did, but even those pictures she sees of me today are edited and airbrushed. Now that my daughter is in college, the hard water there is giving her acne and inflammation, and she's never been more vulnerable. I caught her crying last month in the bathroom, just staring at the mirror at the boil-like lumps and acne all over her jaw. She was even getting bullied over it apparently. I desperately want to help her, but it has been a long time since I modeled, and our family just doesn't have the money to afford the treatments my agency bought for me, so we've had to find some alternatives. Thankfully the derm doctor saved the day. See, back when I was a model, the biggest thing was micro-infusion needling, and it still is. 20 years ago, my agency set me up with the same specialist that Jennifer Aniston had, and it's not just her. Every A-list celebrity in Hollywood is breaking the bank for this stuff. I remember using it to prepare for my walks for Chanel and Louis Vuitton to get my skin extra clear. This was literally the peak of my career. These micro-infusion facial systems were a game changer for me because they used micro-needling to inject serum straight inside skin to work inside out instead of just being topical, not to mention all the collagen benefits. Unfortunately, if I wanted to book one of those micro-infusion sessions without an agency card, it would cost thousands of dollars, and there's no way I'm encouraging my little girl to sit at an operating table just to get some smoother skin. But the other day I was watching the derm doctor, and he recommended a great alternative, these at-home Cure micro-infusion facial systems, which is pretty much the same thing you'd get at a beautician's office except you have to administer it yourself. Since it's much more affordable than handing a Dr. Nick thousands of dollars, I bought a kit for my daughter's birthday which was a few weeks ago. She was super excited to use it, but she hates needles, so we bought a numbing cream and now we've just turned this whole thing into a girls' spa day for the two of us. It has definitely added an element of bonding time, and not gonna lie I was skeptical at first with these not being done professionally, but they have greatly helped her and her skin. We start by numbing our faces, which we then test by slapping each other really hard. We find this really funny, and then use the micro-infusion facial kits. With the cream it honestly hurts less than that at the salons. I even tell my daughter modeling stories to keep her distracted, like the truth about what happened with Kate Moss and so on. It's been a really strange but great bonding experience for us, and I even got the micro-infusion facial system for my husband, though he's less cooperative than my daughter and would prefer slapping dish soap on his face than doing anything legit. But my daughter is finally happy and that's all that matters to me now. When have customers thought they were the boss? I work at a small dive bar where 90% of the time it's great and there aren't any problems. No corporate or managers lording over you. You can talk, dress, act how you want. Owners are super great people, very chill. Except they've given this small group of regulars, the type who come in every day from 2 p.m. 10-11, the idea that because they're all friends that these regulars have more power than just an average customer. It's almost as if they run the place. Last night, I came in at 6 p.m. It's dead. There are 3 girls working including me. There's that said table of regulars and then each girl has maybe 3 tables each. About an hour into me being there I have 2 tables. Now even though we are a dive bar we do really try to provide table service as much as possible unless it's like slammed at the counter. So I am standing at one of my tables with a very well-known good tipper and a big spender couple chatting with them. One of my coworkers comes up to the table to inform me that I need to be moving around more because regulars said I need to and not just stand there chit-chatting being lazy. I was kind of shocked at the audacity of my coworker to accept that from him and not speak up in my defense. This isn't the first time this has happened with him overstepping. On a slow night I was on my phone because there were only 3 people in the bar including him and he complained to my coworker and called me a bitch for looking at my phone. He's just horribly miserable, racist, he found out my coworker was trans and he made awful comments to her, he's cheap, argues every chance he gets about his bill. And yet all my coworkers feel bad for him. Which I do but not enough to put up with his disrespect. I so badly want to either tell this man off or not serve him but I know if I do the owners will not be super happy even though they know he's a dick. I cannot stand him.
My mother-in-law is obsessed with posting and she ended up blocking my face on a picture. She is an odd one. She is obsessed with Facebook and posts basically everything on Facebook ever since I met her. From what she eats for dinner to medical information and prayers for health. She has always done this, and after a photo was posted of my home that she was watching while we were out of town, which she posted that we were out of town and nobody was there, I decided enough was enough. I was not going to allow her to keep doing this. I gave her a boundary that I do not want to be posted all the time and if she wants to, she must get permission first. We went to a family event at an aunt's lake house, and I had called off work the day before due to being sick and asked her not to post it to me in case someone from work were to see it. She said she completely understood and that she won't be posting this time. Well, we get home and I received texts from two of my friends asking if my husband and I were fighting or breaking up. I was confused, so I went to Facebook, and lo and behold, she posted the photos from the day, and every single photo I was in, my face was blacked out with squiggly lines and poor attempts of cutting me out. I addressed it instantly and said, I understand you were trying to do what I asked by not posting, but I'm extremely offended and have now received messages from friends asking if my husband and I broke up. They are wondering if I'm getting divorced with him. She said she never meant it to be offensive and that she will take them down. Am I overreacting, or is that really disrespectful? I couldn't imagine blacking my daughter-in-law's face out of multiple pictures. Especially, when she expressed to me she doesn't want to get posted at all. Today I effed up by using Ancestry family tree and proving my still living cousins are in an incestuous relationship. I have been excited about using Ancestry to build a large family tree, adding all my cousins, their parents, their grandparents, my parents, grandparents. I'm now up to the 1500s, but my issues started when I added my great-granduncle Ben, and his wife Lula. This is where it gets difficult. Ben's parents are Catherine and Edgar, Catherine's parents are Max and Emma. Emma's parents are Richard and Denise. Denise and Richard had around 10 to 15 kids, but the important ones are Emma and Luca. Luca had a daughter named Missy. Missy is Lula's grandmother. Lula married Ben. Ben and Lula have 4 kids together. Ben and Lula are no longer married, but they are alive and well, so are their kids. Here's the problem: when looking at the tree it's not obvious right away, until you notice that Lula is marked as my cousin, not the wife of my great-granduncle, and now my family wants to look at this tree, follow their lines. I now have to try and either break the news before they find out themselves by looking, or say nothing and hope no one notices the issues. My grandmother told me not to make a tree. I'm thinking I should have listened to her, because that's only one of many. My great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother are also cousins, luckily third cousins, which according to my reading on the internet isn't a very big deal. But there's also my great-aunt, who's married to her 4th cousin, and they have 5 kids, 6 grandkids, 2 great-grandkids. And I don't know how much longer I can hold off on sharing this mess with my family, and yes, all the info is verified. I made a family tree that proves my family is full of incestuous relationships. I kicked my wife out for trying to force my daughter to do things that make her uncomfortable. I am a father to my daughter Emma. My first wife and I were middle school sweethearts. Emma was a happy accident and we were thrilled to be parents to her. But my wife died while giving birth to her. I remarried in a year and a half to my second wife Samantha. She was also struggling raising her son Tom due to financial difficulties. It was a marriage of convenience and we were very open about that. She would be a stay-at-home raising both kids while I will financially provide for them. Samantha always gave her son preferential treatment emotionally, which I never took issue with. After all, she was my daughter, not hers. But I always provided equally for both of them because I always felt obligated to be fair with both of them. There were not any major issues growing up. Both kids maintained a healthy relationship with each other while maintaining a bit of distance. My first wife and I both had an insurance policy. It was paid out when she died. For some reason, we once randomly talked about what we would do with money if one of us passed away. We both decided it would go to our kids, and if we didn't have a kid then the surviving spouse should travel the world. I have kept that money in a trust that has grown over 17 years and has been yielding significant profits, and now, it's quite a bit of money. I have never borrowed even a penny from it because it belongs to my daughter and I am just a guardian. This year both kids applied to colleges and Emma got into the Ivy League with a full scholarship. Our plan was if Emma did not get a scholarship, I would pay her tuition with the trust. Tom also applied to Ivy League and got admission but without scholarship. He and I both discussed our options and I told her that I can help him with living expenses while he pursues his studies. But I can't afford the tuition without getting a massive hit. He was understanding and said that he will take out a loan for it. It was settled then. Or at least, I thought it was. One night Samantha asked me if I can pay his son's tuition with the payout. She knows the width of that policy. I was startled for a second. But I said I will think about it. I delayed it because I wanted to ask Emma whether she wanted to help Tom out because I have always let her make decisions of her own as I feel it's the important part of parenting. I wanted to ask her alone without Samantha present because Samantha can be a bit pushy and I wanted Emma to make decisions on her own without any pressure because she is the sweetest kid who would rather be hurt than hurt anyone else. I explained the whole thing to my daughter and asked what she wanted to do. She asked me what I think she should do and I told her that I have no opinion, but no matter what decision she makes, it will not change anything between us. She will always be my world. She told me that she wanted to travel the world with me as her mom wanted, with half of the money and invest the rest so she can have extra cash flow. She asked me for the weekend to think about it, which I was happy to give her. On the weekend, she texted me to come into her room. She asked me to explain the profit yields, the amount and everything related to the amount, which I did. After contemplating, she decided that she can pay for half of Tom's tuition while touring the world and maintaining the healthy cash flow. I stressed on her that if she does not want to do it, she does not have to. Tom is not her responsibility. But she said she wanted to help her brother out. During a family meeting, she told it to Tom in front of Samantha and me. Tom teared up and hugged her and was very grateful. I noticed Samantha was a bit off but I ignored it. We all went out for dinner. In bed, Samantha asked me who decided about Tom's tuition. I told her about the whole situation. Samantha was shocked for whatever reason. She said that I didn't have to ask Emma and could have made the decision on my own as it was not Emma's money. I told her in plain words that she does not get a say in that since it was decided between me and Emma's mother what we will do with the money. Then she said why didn't I involve her during the discussions with Emma. And by this time, I was at the edge and I told her because it was none of her damn business. She said that she would talk to Emma and Emma can pay for her brother's full tuition and traveling the world is not necessary. I calmly yet firmly told her that she would not say a word to Emma about this and this matter is closed. After a week, I was out with my colleagues when I received a text from Tom that I should come home immediately. I rushed home. I was home in 10 minutes. Samantha was shouting at Emma how she should pay for Tom's tuition and Emma was crying. Tom was trying to calm her mother down and to get her to shut up but to no avail. I told my wife to shut up and go to the bedroom as politely as I could because I did not want to insult her in front of Tom because after all, she was his mother. I picked Emma up and was taking her to her bedroom when I heard Samantha yell, "You were always a monster. You unalived your mother while coming into this world." And this was the end point. I told Samantha that I am going out and I will come back in 2 days. She better be gone when I come back. I took Emma with me and asked Tom if he wanted to come with us. Tom was reluctant but eventually came with us. I drove them to a nearby hill town and got us checked in. Emma was crying all the way and I let her after a few initial tries to calm her down. By next morning, we met at breakfast. Emma's eyes were swollen with crying. And Tom basically got to his knees and apologized for his mother's behavior. Emma told him that it was not his fault. We three had a heart-to-heart discussion once Emma and I had talked in privacy where Emma was reassured that she wasn't responsible for anything. Emma will still be paying half of Tom's tuition. I also talked to Tom and told him that I would be divorcing her mother and there is no turning back from that. But that doesn't have to change my relationship with him unless he thinks otherwise. He asked me to consider my decision and I asked him if what I was doing was unfair. He said no and he understood. By the time we got home, my parents were already there and Samantha was gone. My parents asked about what happened and apparently, Samantha had fed them half a story and told them the whole tale. They were furious but tried to lower the temperature and asked if there is any way to make amends. I told them that my decision is final. I have served Samantha with papers.